Radhe Radhe. Didi, I'll introduce yourself.
I'm sorry?
Can I introduce you?
Yes, sure.
So, children, I think we're very, 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 very fortunate that we have Siddheshwari Didi for this monthly teenage special Gurukul, because Didi ji has actually started this program of Gurukul, and this has been running for a couple of decades very successfully, and it has transformed the lives of thousands of children. Didi is currently in the USA. She's joining us from there. She is based at a big ashram in Atlanta, where a lot of activities happen that help the children and the families progress on the path of devotion. Didi ji has devoted her life to the service of her Hari Guru. So I think we're very, very, very fortunate to have Didi ji today. Thank you, Didi.
Radhe Radhe, it's my pleasure to be here. So I will start with the Bhagavad Gita, first lesson. And before we start the PowerPoint presentation, I would like to give a short introduction to Bhagavad Gita. It is part of a much larger scripture, which is the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a historical scripture. It has recorded what has happened in history. And the Mahabharata itself has 100,000 verses in it, shlokas. And part of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita, which has only 700 verses in it. And the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters. And it is, you can say, a Q&A session, really, because we have Arjun, who's asking the question, who has doubts, who doesn't know what to do in life. And Arjun represents all of us, because there are many times when we don't know which route we should take, which way we should go, and we become bewildered. And in the beginning of the scripture, Bhagavad Gita, we read about Arjun, who's very bewildered, and he says to Sri Krishna, I don't want to fight this battle. I don't want bloodshed. I'm a peaceful person. And it really bothers me that I'm here in the battlefield. And he said, my bow is falling from my hands, and I'm not able to even stand on my feet. My legs are shaking, and my mind is reeling with confusion. And so saying this, Arjun actually goes to the back seat of the chariot, and that means that he's not willing to fight. So on the other side, the Kauravas are, Arjun is one of the Pandav brothers, and they've got their army. And then we have the Kauravas, the cousins, on the other hand, 100 brothers, 100 of them, and their army, even more powerful than the Pandav's army. And yet Sri Krishna is on the Pandav side, so which is the main thing. And Arjun is asking this question, why should I fight this battle? And Sri Krishna is answering his question. That is in essence what the Gita is about. And we all learn so many lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. This scripture has been translated into many languages of the world, which means that it has a universal message that everyone can relate to. It's not only for the Hindu, it's for people following all different religions, because it speaks to all of us. It talks about human beings, and human beings are essentially the same, whether we are white or black or brown on the outside, whether we are living in the UK or the US, or in India or Canada or any other country of the world, whether we are male or female, everyone essentially has the same questions, the same nature. And Arjun is representing the entire humanity. He's not just one, he's representing us. And the fact is that Arjun doesn't have any confusion. He is manifesting this confusion because we people become confused. Ordinary humans become confused. Arjun has complete knowledge because he is a divine being, he's a divine personality. But quite often we see in our scriptures that one divine personality is asking a question and the other one is answering that question. The fact is that they're both divine and neither one is confused. The one who is asking the questions is not at all confused. So we're very grateful to Arjun for showing this confusion, and of course to Sri Krishna who's answering our questions. And can you please, Chitra, could you please begin the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, Didi.
All right. So could I get, I'm just going to ask the students to read from it, but I'll just start with lesson 1. I lost it.
Can you see it, Didi?
No, I cannot. I can see only the picture and lessons from Gita, but the rest of it is missing.
No, the rest I think is on the next clicks.
I see. Go ahead then. I see. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So lesson 1 that we learn from the Gita is that we find out who we really are. And I will start with the shlok. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanyanyani sanyati navani dehi. Could I get Manu to please read the rest of it? The meaning of this and further. You could unmute yourself, Manu.
Just as a person puts on new garments after discarding old ones, similarly the soul acquires new body after casting away the old body. Shall I read afterwards?
Yes.
Okay. You are not the body. You are not your name. You are not your age. You are not your personality. You are not your nationality. You are not the gender of your body. You are not the color of your skin. You are not the body. You have a body. In every birth, you get a different body. This time around, you have been born human. Countless times, you have had the body of a tree, insect, bird, as well as an animal. You were born with brown, black, or white skin. You were born in India, Canada, USA, the UK, Africa, China, France, and other parts of the world.
Thank you. So the very first thing we learn is, after we learn of Arjun's confusion and he's asking a question, Lord Krishna says, first of all, get to know who you are, because that's the very first thing we need to do in life, to just get to know who we are. Because we may do everything else right in life, but we actually can't do everything right in life if we've got the very first question wrong, and that is who am I? So that is the first lesson. We tend to identify the self to be the body, but the fact is that we are the soul. Our essence is the soul, and the body is something that we have in our possession. So just as we don't ever say, I'm my money, I am money, I am the house, I'm the car, I am school books. You have a house, not a house. I have money. I have a car. These school books are mine. I'm not the school books. In the same way, I have a body, but I am not the body. That's a very important lesson for all of us to learn. And this time around, we have a human body, but we must also understand that there are, according to our scriptures of Sanatan Vedic Dharma, which is more commonly known as Hinduism, there are 8,400,000 different types of bodies. Some of them are actually being discovered now. You might have read in some periodicals, magazines that, such as National Geographic and such magazines, that somewhere in Australia, scientists have discovered so many different species that we humans were not aware of. Now, the Vedas and scriptures related to the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures, they have always told us there are 8,400,000 types of bodies. In Hindi, we call them 84 lakh. Perhaps the children have heard about that. 84 means 84. Lakh is 100,000. And so 84 times 100,000 is 8.4 million, or 8,400,000. So this is what the Vedas have told us. And science is very far behind. The scientific knowledge that we have is so far behind the scriptural knowledge. So scriptures have already told us what modern science is just coming to understand, and it will be very slow in understanding and accepting. So we've had different bodies, and in this present moment, in this life, we are most fortunate to have the human form of life. Next, please. Could I have Ashmita reading this, please?
Sometimes you are born as a male, sometimes as a female, sometimes in the form of a human, sometimes as an animal, insect, bird, or a tree. Every time you are born, you have a new and different set of family members. If you are in the human form, you have human relatives. If you are born as an animal, you have animal relatives. As an insect, you have insect as relatives. You cannot be that which is always changing.
Thank you. So the body is always changing. In every lifetime, we get a different body. If you are female this time around, don't think that you are always a female. We've all been born in male form, female form. We've been born in all the 8.4 million different species of life, because the soul is eternal. There is no beginning to the soul. So we have lived unlimited times, and we have been we've had every kind of body possible. The body is always changing, but the soul is ever the same. The soul that's inside your body is the same one that you have always had. That is not changing. The soul is just changing bodies, just as a person changes clothes. Next, please. Yuvan, would you please read this?
Sure. You are the soul. So who are you? You are born in different bodies. You are something which is eternal, without a beginning. You are the Atma, the soul. The soul lives inside the body. The body is like a sheath, and the soul is like a sword. It is your identity. It is your essence. The soul cannot be seen by eyes, but it enables the eyes to see. The soul cannot be heard by ears, but it enables the ears to hear. The soul cannot be touched by the skin, but it enables the skin to experience touch. The soul cannot be smelled by the nose, but it enables the nose to smell. The soul keeps you alive as long as it is inside your body. When it leaves, the body is unable to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. The body without the soul is called a dead body, regardless of whether it is human or not.
Thank you. Right. So we are we are eternal. We never had a beginning. And the body is not the important thing, although as long as we are alive, the body is very important. And yet, once the soul leaves, the body is always discarded. It's either buried or cremated, or it's put in and is thrown into the water. It is disposed of in some one way or the other. And everyone, the family members, they all say, oh, he's gone or she's gone. And they are at the same time, they're looking at the body. So if you ask them, what do you mean he's gone? He's right there, don't you see? Then the answer would be, oh, but that's his body. That's not him. So who is he then? Ah, he's the soul. That's the answer we get then. So that's a very intelligent thing to say, that, oh, he's gone. Do you mean he's not the body? No, he's the soul. The soul never dies. The body, although the body does. And the soul is the one that gives consciousness to the body. The body is conscious, it's living because of the living force called the soul. We're able to move our hands, our feet, we're able to walk using our legs, we're able to use the nose to inhale fragrances of the world, we're able to taste through the tongue, and we're able to do everything we are doing in life, and we take it for granted, of course, and it's all because of the Atma. It's all because of the soul. The soul is a living force that is inside the body, and that is our true identity. So if someone asks you the question, who are you? You can say, I'm the Atma, I'm the soul. But people don't expect that answer. They'll say, huh? What did you say? So usually when somebody asks, who are you? We give our name, right? I am Ananya, I am Yuvan, I am Manu, Ashmita. We give our name, or we give, what we do, our profession. You could say, well, I'm a student, or I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a businessman. We give these kind of answers. And I think society expects that kind of answer. But in our heart of hearts, we should know who we really are. Because if we don't understand who we are, then we cannot fulfill the purpose of our life. And if we know who we are, we can be very confident in knowing, I am the Atma, I am the soul. It helps us in so many ways to know that we are the soul. So that's the very first lesson and that we are talking about. Next slide, please. Soul is indestructible. Ananya, would you kindly? Let me just read the shlok. And I don't know if you're familiar with this. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledayantyapu, na shoshayati marutah. This is the 23rd verse from the second chapter of the Gita. Go ahead, please.
Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna, weapons cannot cut the soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot melt the soul, nor can air dry it out of existence. The soul cannot be seen. It has no height, weight, color, or gender. Soul does not change. The body goes through many changes, but the soul always remains the same. It does not grow old, wrinkled, or diseased. Soul is energy. The soul enables your mind and intellect to think and take decisions. It brings consciousness to the body, mind, and the intellect. Soul is the energy without which you cannot exist.
Thank you. Yes, so Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. Shastra means weapons. Some of these words you might recognize. Nainam Dahati Pavakaha. Pavaka is fire. Na Chainam Kledayantyapo. That's a water. Water cannot melt it. Na Shoshayati Maruta. So that's the air cannot dry the soul out of existence. The soul it's indestructible and it cannot be seen. It has no height, weight, color, or gender. So essentially, we're all the same. Outwardly, the body has, I'm brown, you're white, you're black. We have different colors. and we have different gender, we have different height, weight, and so on. But if we remove all the layers, our essence is always the same. We are all the same, that we all belong to God. We are all individual souls. Scientists have tried to, there was a scientist, and he said to his fellow scientists, he knew he was going to die, and he said, please put me in an airtight glass container. And they put his body there. And he said, when the soul leaves, just try to see if there's a smallest little crack. Where did the soul leave from? So this scientist, who was now enclosed in a airtight glass container, glass box, he died, and they looked and they looked and they looked with microscopes, and there wasn't even a tiniest bit of a crack in the glass, because the soul just left. So we cannot see the soul. It has no color, no height, no weight, no gender, nothing. It's a divine spark that belongs to God. And the soul does not grow old. It does not get wrinkled. There's no disease of the soul. Everything happens to the body, but not to the soul. And the soul is the energy. Now, where does the soul live? The Gita is a very short scripture, only 700 verses. So the Gita hints at this. It gives us a little bit knowledge of who we are. But then there are other scriptures that tell us more about the soul. The Upanishads, for instance, they tell us that the soul lives within the heart. And that heart, not the beating heart that's within, not the physical part of the body called the heart, but within that physical heart, there is a subtle heart. It's called Sukshma Hriday. Sukshma means subtle, Hriday is heart. So it lives within the subtle heart. And while residing in the subtle heart, the soul spreads consciousness throughout the body. And that body may be a very small body of like a mosquito, or a huge body like that of a hippopotamus, but the soul will spread consciousness throughout the body. And the whole body from head to toe, alo mabhya anakebhya. This is Chandogya Upanishad, which says that the whole body becomes conscious from head to toe because of the soul. It's like let's say you have a dark room, and then you put a clay lamp in there, diya, deepam, and that flame will spread its light throughout the room. In the same way, the soul spreads consciousness throughout the body. So every part of the body is energized. The eyes, ears, nose, legs, arms, every part of the body becomes energized. And when it leaves, all the parts of the body are now lifeless. So that's how the soul works. Next, please. I'm not sure. Are there any more? Is it Samika? Samika, read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reincarnation. When the soul leaves the body, we say that the person has died. What has taken place? The soul has left the body. Now the lifeless body is insentient, quite like a piece of paper, a piece of wood, or a chair, or a table. The body is no longer the body no longer experiences any pleasure or pain. The body cannot move. It cannot see, hear, taste, touch, or smell anything.
You go ahead with the next two.
Okay. Where does the soul go? Lord Krishna explains that the soul changes bodies in the same way as a person changes clothes. When the soul leaves one body and enters another body, the phenomenon is called reincarnation. Lord Krishna says, Arjun, you and I have lived innumerable times before. The only difference is that I remember all my previous births, while you remember none of yours. After death, the soul enters a new body. Whether it will be born like the body of a human, a tree, an insect, a bird, or an animal depends on your actions. Forms of life. There are 8.4 million life forms. These are different varieties of trees, insects, birds, and animals. Some creatures are immobile, such as plants, trees, and certain rocks. Most are mobile.
Thank you, Samika. So, we Hindus, we know about reincarnation. And I think the whole world is fascinated by reincarnation. And there are many people who have their own twist on reincarnation. I was, once I was hearing a woman on TV, and she said, she came in as the expert. And she was asked by the TV host, so tell us about reincarnation. She said, you know, you can have the same face in the next life. You just have to think about it. And that's not according to the Vedas. And that's not the real understanding of reincarnation. Reincarnation, what face we'll have, what kind of face we'll have, what kind of body we'll have, it all depends on what we did as humans. In the human form of life, we perform our actions, and God gives us fruits of those actions. The other creatures, they're all children of God, insects, birds, even plants and trees, animals. These are all, even devtas in the celestial regions, in Swargalok as it is called, they all perform actions. They do something or the other, but they are not held accountable for their actions. They are not given fruits of their actions. But we humans, for us, avashyameva bhoktavyam kritam karma shubhashubham. Every action, good or bad, will bear fruit in the future. Now, that future may be later today. You performed an action at 5 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock you'll get the reaction. Or you perform the action at 9 o'clock, and at 9:05 you'll get the fruit of the action. Or it could be next life, it could be 10 lifetimes from now. But sooner or later, we all have to bear the consequences of our actions, good or bad. Right? So reincarnation, meaning again, incarnate, enter the body. So the soul once again enters a body. It has left one body, and it will enter another. So without the soul, the body is quite like a piece of wood, or it's like a piece or furniture, like a chair or a table, or it's like a piece of paper. It has no life. It's just lifeless. It's insentient. It has no life in it. It's the soul that gives life to the body. And I really like this verse from the Gita, in which Lord Krishna says that the soul changes bodies in the same way as a person changes clothes. So when someone dies, when a dear one, a family member dies, people grieve and they cry. And Lord Krishna is saying, he has just changed bodies. He has gone from one body to the next. And I think that this verse gives a lot of solace, don't you? I think it gives a lot of solace to the family that, oh, you don't cry when you change clothes. And he has only, the soul has only changed clothes. So he lives on. He has just changed from one body to the next. And by the way, in the Ramayana also, Bhagwan Sri Ram says the same thing. He said, Prakat Sotanu. And he doesn't say the same thing, but he gives solace. He gives encouragement. He pacifies the grieving family by saying, Prakat Sotanu Tav Aage Sova Jeeva Nitya Tumke Hi Lagi Rova. Bhagwan Ram says, why do you cry? If you say to me that you're crying because of the body, then I will say to you, the body is in front of you, the body is laying in front of you, and you yourself are making plans to cremate the body. So you can't be crying for the body's sake. And if you say that you're crying for the soul, then I will have you know that the soul does not ever die, because it never took birth, it will never die. So Bhagwan Sri Ram asks in the Ramayana, for whom do you cry? These are really wonderful words of wisdom from God Himself that give us a lot of solace. So because we humans, our every action is noted, and for every action there's a reaction, we must be very, very careful in performing our actions, knowing that no action goes unrewarded or unpunished. Next, please. Is anyone who did not, any student who didn't read yet?
Didi Misha, please.
Misha, of course, Misha.
It says different varieties of creatures have distinct eating and living habits. Some live in water, some live on land, some live both in water and on land. Some are herbivores, others are carnivores, some are omnivores. One of the 8.4 million forms is the human form, which is considered to be the best. It is the only form of life praised by scriptures and desired by every creature. Do I carry on?
Yes.
Human form. To be born human is a rare privilege. The world population is only 8 billion. The population of other creatures is so large that it cannot be counted. Digging the ground even 1 foot will you I can't say that word.
Thousands of microscopic creatures.
Not that one. Not that one. Yeah.
Digging around even 1 foot will
Privilege of
privileges of the human form. Privileges of the human form.
Do I carry on?
Yes, sure.
There are two main advantages and privileges of being born human. Humans have a mind which is more developed than that of other creatures. Every action of a human bears fruit. The human mind can think of matters related to eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, just like other creatures. But that is not all. It can think of God also. The human mind can think of God, our relationship with God, about the soul and about the soul's journey. It can think of being helpful, humble, kind, and considerate. Using our mind, we can think of so much more than just eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating.
Thank you, Misha. All right, so we see so many different creatures, and there's so many other creatures in relation to how many humans we have. The world population is only 8 billion, but if you just dig a hole in the ground and you go just 1 foot, you're likely to find thousands of tiny creatures that cannot be seen with the naked eye. You have to have microscopes to see it. So there's so many creatures out there, and it's a staggering comparison. 8 billion humans on the one hand, and there's so many others on the other hand. There's so many other creatures, that if you dig a hole, like 1 foot deep hole, you can find thousands of creatures. So that just gives us an idea of how blessed we are to be in the human form of life. And there's two main privileges of being born human. One is that our mind is definitely more developed than that of other creatures. At the bottom of the scale are plants and trees. They have a mind, but their mind is it's not developed much at all. And they don't feel pleasure or pain. They do, but not very little bit, very, very little bit. And although, if you go to a park and you see different fruit, flowers and so on, you feel very happy seeing those flowers, multicolored flowers. And those flowers, that plant is looking at your colorful outfit and is feeling happy also. It can feel that, it can see, and it feels happy seeing that. Then on a higher than the plants and trees are the insects. They have more intelligence. Higher than the insects are birds. Higher than the birds, in as far as intelligence is concerned, it's the animals. But the human intelligence is so great that even if it's the most intelligent animal, and you compare that animal's intelligence to a very dull-witted human, the human being has more knowledge. So we humans have tremendous power. It's a power that God has given to us, the power to think, the power to discern, distinguish between what's right and what's wrong, the power to think beyond just food and shelter and eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. God has given us an amazing mind. It's the most powerful tool we have. And another huge privilege God has given to us is that our actions bear fruit. But the other living creatures, their actions go unnoticed. They are not given fruits of their actions, which is really sad, because for us, if we humans could not get the fruits of our actions, then we can do the best thing. We can be really good. We can be very devotional, and there's nothing to show for it. There's no consequence. So we are very, very fortunate, most fortunate, that we are the only children of God who do have have more advanced mind than almost every other creature. Because devtas in the celestial regions, in Swargalok, their intelligence is far greater than human intelligence. But everybody else, all the other creatures, their intelligence is very small. And we have a much greater mental and intellectual capacity. And secondly, that we are the only children of God who are given fruits of our actions. Next, please. Responsibility. Is there any student I have not asked to read yet?
So I think Lalentika, Manu, Sanvi, and Hazel haven't had chances yet.
Manu has. Manu was the first one to read.
Oh, Manu has, yes, sorry. Lalentika, Sanvi, and Hazel.
Okay. Sanvi, would you start, please?
Okay. With privileges come responsibility. Our
Sanvi,
responsibility.
you're not driving, are you? But you're in a car.
I'm in a car. Yeah.
Good. Okay. I thought, my goodness, you're multitasking.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Right, okay. With privileges come responsibility. Our responsibility is to live a life which is dedicating to not only eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, but to fulfilling a higher mission. Every one of us must dedicate this life to something greater than just survival. To be a successful human, one must limit worldly desires and increase the desire to know God. The Gita teaches us how. Understand that things of the world are to be used for the body. We need air, water, sunshine, food, shelter, and etc. for the body. To keep the body alive and healthy, we need to provide it oxygen, nutrition, food, and proper nutrients. To protect it from the elements, we need clothing and shelter. The body is made up of space, air, fire, water, and earth. The world is made up of space, air, fire, water, and earth.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sanvi. So we'll go with this much for now. So, whenever you have privilege, you have a responsibility. I'm sure you children, you are given privileges by your parents. And then your parents will say, you have this privilege, but you have a responsibility. For instance, all right, you can go to your friend's birthday party, you can, and you can go out on this Friday night, let's say, but your responsibility is that you must be home at 10 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever time, right? You have a responsibility. So we have such privileges, two huge privileges. So our responsibility is there also. And that is what God expects from us, is to live a life which is dedicated not to just living like animals, like only eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. That's what animals do too. So if we're not doing anything more than that, then we are not even, then we shouldn't even be calling ourselves humans, right? But we are here to fulfill a higher mission in life. And it's not just survival. It is to know God and to know how to control our mind and how to take our mind towards God. It's to learn all this, that we are here. So the Gita teaches us that we must increase our desire to know God, and it teaches us how to limit worldly desires, because desires are such, and the topic of desire will come up, and it's an amazing lesson to learn about desire. Sri Krishna says, reduce your worldly desires, because desires are unending. You have one, if you want something, if you have a desire for something, and that desire is met, you get what you want, very soon you'll have like 5 or 10 other desires. You wanted one thing, you got it, and now the mind says, I want this, and I also want that, I want this and that and that. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20 different desires. So Sri Krishna says, limit your worldly desires and increase the desire to know God, because you are the soul, and the soul, the nourishment for the soul is God, not the world. The world and the body get along with each other because, as Sanvi was just reading, both are made of the same 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Actually, you left off over there. So can I get, is it Hazel? I can't see you, but I know you're there somewhere.
Yes.
Hazel, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
You are audible, but not visible.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The
You-
body,
Let's go ahead.
the body and the world are alike in this way, and they get along with each other. Your body needs the material world and the things that are in it. The body is satisfied with material things. To take care of the self, i.e., the soul, we must worship God. The soul is not satisfied with things of the world. $1 billion mansion does not make the soul happy. Money does not make the soul happy. Toys, video games, smartphones, sports cars, popularity, pets, and friends do not please the soul. How can we be sure that the soul is not pleased with things of the world when you can buy something that you
When
have
you buy
wanted
something,
for a long time? You feel extremely happy and satisfied. After some days or weeks, you do not feel the same way. You are merely happy. After some more time, you are no longer feeling happy, but okay with whatever you have purchased. After some more time, you just get bored with it. Then you no longer wish to see that thing and may even end up giving it away or tossing it away carelessly. The soul can only be satisfied with God because it is an energy of God and has a natural love for God.
thank you, Hazel. So the body and the world get along, and that's why we need things from the world for the sake of the body. We need air, water, sunshine, food, shelter, all of these things. But the soul is different. The soul is just not satisfied with things of the world. Money doesn't please the soul. Toys, video games, various gadgets, smartphones, sports cars, popularity. I'm so popular and so many people know me. The soul says, I'm not happy with that. Pets and friends, nothing and no one pleases the soul except for God. And we do get bored, and everyone's experience is the same, isn't it? That we get bored with something that we really wanted and we got. And then after some time, we started thinking, I want something new. I want something new. You know, there was a girl and she's telling her mother, Mom, I have nothing in the closet. And the mother opens a closet and there's so many things, so many clothes, so many outfits. She said, but these are all old. Those are the outfits that she wanted so badly, and she got them over a period of time, and now she doesn't want to look at them. It could be it could be a he or a she, could be anyone. Everyone is like that we get bored with what we had. A child once asked me, very small child, he said, Didi ji, why don't I feel happy with my toys after some time? And I said, oh my goodness, you are going to learn a wonderful lesson at such a young age. And that is that toys are not going to make you happy. Why do I get bored with them? Why? So what his mother used to do was to hide the toy away after some time. And then after that, she will bring it out again. And then he'll think, oh, it's new. And he'll be happy with it. After a while, he'll get bored with it. So it was wonderful that a child asked that question. Why do I get bored with my toys? We all have our toys, don't we? Some of us have some people have, in our childhood, we have different toys. When we become adults, we have our various gadgets as our toys, right? And yet we get bored with them. The smartphone, the iPhone, there's so many different versions now. And oh, I only have iPhone 11. Now the new one, I don't know, is it 14 or 15, whatever it is. But, it's always, the mind wants more and more and more. Desires are unending. So, and the soul is not pleased with anything of the world. The mind keeps on desiring. Next, please. Oh, yes. This one. Could I have Lalantika? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Good. Go ahead, please.
In the Gita, Lord Krishna recommends that we reduce our desire for the world so that we may increase our love for God. Quick facts. Oh, wait.
The
The
full
full
name.
name Bhagavad Gita means Song of God. Gita is a part of the Mahabharata scripture, which contains 100,000 verses. There are 18 chapters in the Gita with 700 verses. The knowledge was given by Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The knowledge was imparted before the Mahabharata began. The Mahabharata battle lasted 18 days. It was between Pandavas and the Kauravas. Sanjay had divine eyesight. He related all that was happening on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, the blind king. The Mahabharata scripture was penned 50 years after the battle was fought. The name of Arjuna's bow was Gandhiv. The name of Lord Krishna's bow is Sarang.
Sarang, yes. Thank you. This quick facts, right? Interesting facts. Bhagavad Gita means Song of God, and as I was explaining in the beginning, the Gita is a short scripture, part of a much bigger scripture called the Mahabharata, which is the same as the Mahabharata battle. And there are 18 chapters in the Gita with 700 verses, and the battlefield is Kurukshetra, which still exists in India, the northern part of India, near Delhi, I believe, somewhere over there. Kurukshetra is there. And the Mahabharata battle lasted only 18 days. There's a lot of bloodshed, but 18 days. It was between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, cousins. Sanjay could relate everything that was happening on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, the blind king. And as you know, he was the father of the Kauravas, the 100 Kauravas. And Vedavyas was an incarnation of God. He wrote the Mahabharata 50 years after the battle was fought. And Arjun is known as Gandiv Dhari, and means one who holds the bow Gandiv. And the name of Lord Krishna's bow is Sarang. And this is why Sri Krishna is called Sarangapani. You may have heard that. Sarangapani. That means, Pani means hand. The one who holds a bow called Sarang in his hands. Next, please. if there is a next one. Yes. So I'll just read that, unless there's another child, another student who didn't read yet.
Ashmita, have you had chance?
Ashmita has, yes. But let me go back to Manu now. The first one. Go ahead. You had read first.
Before the Mahabharata battle started, both Arjun and Duryodhan went to Lord Krishna to request his help. The Lord was resting at the time. Duryodhan arrogantly sat near Lord Krishna's pillar, while Arjuna waited patiently at the lotus feet of the Lord. When Sri Krishna awakened, he saw Arjuna and asked, "What brings you here?" Duryodhan interrupted, "I was here first." Both Arjun and Duryodhan asked for Sri Krishna's help in the war. Sri Krishna gave them a choice. You may choose between my Narayani Sena army units, well equipped with powerful weapons, or you may choose me alone, without weapons. Duryodhan chose Lord Krishna's army. Duryodhan thought, of what use is Sri Krishna without any weapons? I shall choose his army. Arjuna had complete faith in the Lord as God. He thought, if the Supreme Lord is on my side, I do not need anyone else. I shall choose my Lord. Even without weapons, both Duryodhan and Arjun got what they wanted. The final verse of the final chapter of Gita says, wherever is Lord Krishna and wherever is the mighty archer Arjun, there will be victory.
Thank you. Yes. So that's the little. In fact, I would not. I had the wrong label. That should not be called the conclusion. It should be called interesting fact story. Yes. So Arjun and Duryodhan had both gone to Sri Krishna, and Arjun was so intelligent that he asked for Sri Krishna alone without any weapons. And Duryodhan thought, well, what good is he to me if he doesn't carry any weapon? And I'm not going to go and worship him on the battleground. I need weapons. But in the Gita, as it is said, yatra, wherever there is Sri Krishna and wherever there is Arjun, victory is sure to be there. So Arjun chose Sri Krishna, and the victory belonged to the Pandavas in the end. And that is the conclusion of this first lesson. And I don't even know how time just flew by. It's already 5 after 4. Or 5 after 9 for you, 9:05 p.m. for you, 5 after 4 for me. But are there any questions? And if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask. All right, then we shall conclude today's lesson. And I'm very happy to be of some service to you. Very happy to be teaching you. And the kids who are here, you're amazing kids. And so devotional, so spiritual. Good to meet them. I'm sorry?
Will you announce for the next session when it's convenient for you?